Today, I have a sensitive but powerful topic that I just feel the need to discuss with you guys. And so that is why today I'm going to jump right in talking about violence against children. And more specifically, I'm going to talk about bullying and how bullying connects to suicide and homicide. And it's very important that we begin to take more responsibility for what's going on in the schools and what's happening with our children. We need to be able to protect our children instead of relying on the school systems to do it because they're not doing it. They're not doing it. It's simple as that. And I'm going to tell it to you in a real simple story. So, I heard this story a couple days ago, and it's been on my mind since. And it really was the catalyst for why I'm doing this episode. The story I'm going to tell you is why now is as good a time as any to talk about the violence that our kids are going. I'm Adrian. So Adriana Cook is a 13-year-old girl. Adriana Cook is a 13-year-old girl in New Jersey who was getting bullied at school. She was getting bullied at school often. And she told her parents. Her parents told the school. Nothing happened. Then Adriana was attacked at school and she was beat up pretty badly. And it wasn't just that she was beat up. And what's so sad is that when a child gets beat up in school, for so many of us, that's not even news. And the truth is, when you're the kid that's being bullied, it's not even news to you. It's not even something to react to for a lot of kids. But what happened with her was the beating was recorded and posted online. There was a video online of her getting beat up at school. 2 days later, she took her own life. Adriana Cook was a 13-year-old girl who was getting bullied regularly. Her parents told the school. She got beat up really bad one day, and a video of it was posted online. And then when she saw that, that took her pain to a whole new level. And the only way that she could think of to escape it was to take her own life, which she did on the 10th, 3 days ago. Today is February 13th. And on February 10th, this 13-year-old in New Jersey took her own life. I have a daughter who is 13 years old. She's told me about things that she's seen at school, but she doesn't really talk about bullying. We have to understand that these behaviors lead to suicide. So let me explain it to you. There are pretty fundamental aspects to why people want to die. And they are belongingness and worthiness. And when you feel like you have no significant connections and you're hopeless that you ever will, and you feel as though you have no worth and no value, and you're hopeless that you ever will, then you're more likely to have the desire to die. Well, if you haven't noticed, children these days are more likely to take their own lives than in previous generations when they have that desire to die. Children these days take action on their pain. They take action on getting out of whatever they're going through. And so when a child is being bullied at school, they take action. And in the case of Adriana Cook, it was her taking her own life just 3 days ago on February 10th. And so, what can we do about that as parents? The first thing we have to do as parents is understand that the schools, including school resource officers, they're part of the problem, not the solution. I've heard so many stories of when teachers see bullying, when teachers see inappropriate behavior, they turn their back, they turn a blind eye. You can look it up right now. Any story that you find of a kid being bullied at school and taking their own life, you can find a connecting story where the parents reached out to the school. You hear stories all the time of school resource officers and cops who are assigned to these schools getting into confrontations with students. But how often have you heard about them breaking up a fight or being a part of the solution to prevent bullying? Now, obviously, there are, I would say, a minimum of thousands of cops in schools who are part of the solution. And there are probably tens and thousands of schools who are really good at enforcing no bullying policies and things like that. But how do you know if your child's school is one of those good schools? How do you know if your child's school has a school resource officer, a cop, who is part of the solution to prevent and stop bullying? How do you know that? I've heard many times about these cops, school resource officers walking around, tapping their gun, intimidating students. And I've heard of principals doing that too. Principals feeling like they have the right to talk to any student any kind of way that they want to. In so many cases, the schools are the problem. And when you, as a parent, reach out to the school about the bullying, and it seems like the school isn't going to do anything, you have to hold the school accountable. How do you do that? One thing that I've done in the past that I suggest parents figure out how to do real soon is reach out to the top of the school board and go public with it. I've commented on school boards' social media pages. This happened at the school. What are you going to do about it? This teacher failed to do this. What are you going to do about it? And I reach out, and a lot of these pages, there are phone numbers and addresses. So if your child is bullied in school, don't send an email to the principal. Go to the school board, go to the building, find the superintendent, and let them know that it is their responsibility to provide a safe place for your child to learn. And let them know that if they're failing to do that, that you can bring a lawsuit against a school board. And the truth is, no one wants to deal with that litigation. Nobody wants to deal with any of that legal madness. And I would say 99% of school administrators don't want to see anybody hurt at all, whether bullied or suicide or any other form of violence. And the schools will tell you, rightfully so, that they are understaffed, under resourced. They don't have the tools needed. The schools are not equipped to handle all of the bullying, all of the chaos, all of the violence. So many teachers are really just trying to even take care of the students who are dealing with problems at home. In addition to bullying, there are so many other factors. Some students just struggle to learn. Some students are the primary caregivers to their younger siblings because their parents are never home. Things like that. There are so many issues and problems in the schools and with the children that, again, we cannot expect the schools and the school system to protect our children. It's our responsibility. And when I say that, I'm not saying that to blame parents whose children have taken their own lives. They are victims too. I could not imagine losing any of my kids to anything, whether it's senseless violence or a car accident or anything else. I could not even imagine the pain that a parent goes through when they lose their child. And I always feel like you never know when someone's going to go. You never know when someone's life is going to be lost. So the least we can do is be proactive on the preventable measures like suicide. So it's one thing to hold the school accountable. It's one thing to reach out to the principal, to go to the school board. It's another thing to equip your student better, your child. And when I say to equip your child better, I'm going to say again that One of the primary reasons why people have a desire to die is because they feel worthless. Children have a desire to die when they feel worthless. Worthless and lonely, extreme worthlessness, extreme loneliness. And so, what can we do about that? We have to build better connections with our children. There are literally millions of kids who do get bullied and seem unfazed because they have a safe, secure, loving home. And when I say that, some of you may think to yourself, the bills are paid, there's food on the table, my kids know that I love them. And that may be a true statement. However, is that enough? Is it enough? Hello, Mary Kay. I see you. Thanks for supporting. Is it enough for your kids to know that you pay the bills, that they have four walls and meals? Is it enough? Or do your kids want a deeper connection with you? So here's my question to you, and it's my challenge to you. My question to you is, if your child had a rough day at school, would they come tell you about it? Would they tell you that they've had a rough day at school? And here's the deal. Here's what you got to understand. If your kid has had rough days at school before, and the answer to that question is yes, then you would have had that conversation. So when I say, would your kid come talk to you if they had a bad day at school? The challenge is for you to remember or to think about the last time they did it. If your child has never come to you and said they had a bad day at school, maybe it's because you seem unapproachable. See, I don't like to blame the victim. I don't like to say that, oh, parents, it's your fault. However, you are responsible for that connection with your kids. If your kid has never come up to you and told you about a bad day or a bad incident at school, do you think it's because they've never had one? Or maybe is it because you are unapproachable? You have to build connections. And when I think about connection, I think about the way so many parents choose compliance over connection. You have to stop focusing so much on your kids following the rules. Screw your rules. Nobody cares about your rules. Are your kids following rules because they don't want to get in trouble, or are they doing it because they respect you and value the connection they have with you? You see, if you are gaining obedience from your children and compliance from fear and intimidation, you are providing a barrier to the connection. I don't know how many kids have taken their own lives after being bullied and their parents had no idea they were being bullied. You have to have that connection with your kids. They need to understand that you love them so much that they can come to you without being judged. They can come to you without being ridiculed or humiliated. When your kids come and tell you something that they're going through and you say, man up, toughen up, don't put up with that, understand that what's going on is they're trying to get some help, some assistance from you, and you are informing them that you are not available. The way that you can build a barrier between your bullied child and them taking their own lives is providing a foundation at home where they understand and feel loved, connected, safe, and secure. See, the way trauma works is that when you experience trauma, your fight or flight system turns on. You go into fight or flight, you go into survival mode, and you stay in that survival mode until you feel safe and secure. And that survival mode is physiological. So when your child gets home, do they feel safe and secure? Do they feel like they belong? Do they feel connected? Do they feel loved and like they matter? And if the answer is yes, then they're more likely to be able to turn off their survival mode and relax and elevate their mood and be grateful for what they have. They're not going to be grateful because you tell them to. Do you remember that as a kid when your parents said to you that you should be grateful? And then your response was, "Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right, father." I don't believe that happened. What happened is when you were told that you should be grateful, you found it insulting. What you need to do in your own home is not tell your children what they should be grateful about, but provide an environment where they're comfortable telling you what they appreciate. And what you'll find is that they appreciate you and the connection with you a lot more than they appreciate the Wi Fi password and the big screen TV. They don't care about that. They'll be all right without that. What they need is that connection from you. And when children feel safe and secure, when children feel that they belong, that they are loved, and they have value, they are less likely to be suicidal. So if you want to create a barrier to protect your children from going from suicide, what you need to do is hold the school accountable, and you need to create a better connection with your kids so that you can have that open, honest conversation with them on a regular basis so that they know that you are empathetic and that they can talk to you without judgment, without humiliation, and without the mandate of compliance. Connect with your children, show them you love them, let them know that they belong, that they matter, that you care, that their contribution is significant in the family, and they're less likely to have a desire to die. This is a deep topic, a deep conversation, but I've seen too much in the news. Children getting bullied in the school and taking their own lives. And we got to quit getting mad at the school and the teachers for doing what they seemingly always do. I'm not going to say it's the school's fault. The school doesn't make one child bully another, but the school has a responsibility to provide a safe and secure environment for learning. And if the school can't provide that, the way that you equip your child to deal with the bullying in a way that prevents them from wanting to die is by providing them an environment at home where they can feel safe and secure, loved, and they can know that they matter. They can know that they're not alone. You have the power to do that. You have the power to do that. Stop focusing on compliance. Stop focusing on obedience with your kids and focus on the connection. Hug them more. Tell them you love them more often and just spend more time laughing with them. Simple things that you can do daily to show them that you also desire a stronger connection with them. Your kids love you, love them back the way that they need you to. And that is how you can protect them from becoming suicidal in the first place. Thank you so much for everyone for listening and for being here. I appreciate you. And please be sure to check out all of the previous episodes on my YouTube channel at Charleston Gaines, Ph.D.